Hello, and welcome to episode 84 of the Bearded Banter Podcast, the gaming podcast where I was supposed to have guests today, but I'm your host, Shane the Beard One, and as you can see, I'm all by myself once again. The last time we did this was back in November, once we came off of hiatus from the month of Spook over on The Gap. I didn't plan to be by myself today. I had a whole slew of people who were going to be in here, including a special guest. Unfortunately, my friends are not the best at communication, and no one told me that 60% of the crew today was going to be in one location. And because of that, Matt is awake, but no one else is. And Matt can't record unless they're awake, because he's over at Spencer's house with our guest that we would have had, and Josh is just MIA. So, if you can tell I'm fucking annoyed, it's because I am. But whatever, we can improvise. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Welcome to Bearded Banter, the show where I can only rely on myself and no one else. Let's talk about some video games. Of course, if you're not familiar with our format, we start off with some general discussion, talk about what we've been playing, and then we end that off with a discussion question of the week before we go right into the news. And I have a feeling that today's episode is going to be very short because both discussion and news are pretty dead. We don't have a whole lot to talk about in terms of news, and I don't have a whole lot to talk about in terms of what I've been playing. I have been playing quite a few things, but I don't have much to say on them. So hey, we might have a short episode. Who knows? With that said, though, since no one else will be joining me, we can get right into things, which honestly just makes my job easier because I know what I'm going to say, and I don't have to wait for anyone else to say anything or stumble through what they want to say or whatever. If I seem annoyed, it's because I am, for obvious reasons. But anyway, let's get right into it. So what have I been playing lately? Lately, I've been playing One Piece World Seeker. Now, if you caught the stream yesterday, this is what we played on stream. A couple weeks ago, I went out with the boys. I picked this up for a very cheap price, like $20 new. And I decided to start playing it. And it gives me DBZ Kakarot vibes. And let me explain that. Much like DBZ Kakarot, this game is open world. However, it is not an RPG, an action RPG hybrid that Kakarot is. It's just straight an action adventure game where you can explore a new island made specifically for the game, do quests, fight enemies, things like that. The problem is that it really falls into a lot of the issues that Kakarot did. There are a lot of disappointing things about this game. The presentation, while the graphics are beautiful, the cutscenes leave a lot to be desired. And this reminds me of Kakarot because only a few select scenes are given the full treatment, full gorgeous animation, full voice acting. Everything else is just static models staring at each other with walls of text. At least with Kakarot, though, during some of those lower budget cutscenes, they were at least fully voiced. That's not the case here. There's very little voice acting in this game, which, I don't know, makes it feel empty and lifeless, which is weird because it's a One Piece game, but whatever. The combat isn't much better. The combat is, at least at the point where I am, very basic. You have maybe one or two combos, a long-ranged attack, and a special move, and that's about it. Of course, I'm only like 2 hours into the game, so who knows how that will expand later on. I know that you can unlock a fourth gear transformation, so there's probably a whole other moveset with that. But early stages, the combat's very mundane, redundant, and honestly kind of boring. It boils down to mashing the same button a few times, and then hitting a special move, and then rinse and repeat. It's not very engaging. What is engaging, though, is exploring the world, because this game does something that I think really benefits it, which is free-flow movement. It reminds me a lot of the Spider-Man games, more so in the sense that to traverse the world, you utilize Luffy's Gum Gum abilities to stretch his arms out and grab certain points and then launch yourself off of them. It's kind of a different variation of how Spider-Man swings through New York in the Spider-Man games. But there's a lot of locomotion, there's a lot of momentum behind it. It's very fun to traverse the world. It's a shame that the world isn't very populated. Like, there are towns and stuff that you can explore, and there are people in them. But, again, much like I said earlier, the game feels kind of lifeless. And the side quests don't do much better. The side quests, from what I've seen so far, boil down to basic fetch quests, which is a real shame. There are a lot of issues with this game. I still like it. Like, it's fun. And just being able to explore a new original world in the One Piece universe has its own merits. Like, I posted this on Twitter, finding the Sunny and getting to explore around the Sunny that's been fully recreated in 3D. That's a weird feeling, but I like it. Other than that, it's a pretty standard anime game. If you like One Piece, you'll like this, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Moving on from that, I've also been playing CTR Nitro Fuel, which I also picked up while I was out. And this is the reimagination of Crash Team Racing. But the thing that makes this stand out from being just a standard CTR remake is that it incorporates elements of all the different Crash racing games. So CTR, Crash Nitro Racing, and Tag Team Racing. So it incorporates elements of all of the Crash racing games into one game, but bases it around the gameplay style of CTR, which is really interesting and I think really benefits it, because if it was a standard remake of the original, it wouldn't have much going for it. But the fact that they basically made it a platform to incorporate elements from all the different racing games that the Crash series has had over the years is really interesting. I think it's a lot more interesting than if they just did CTR again with a new coat of paint. On top of that, the gameplay is just as good as the original. It's still just as hard as I remember. Like, it's fucking difficult at times. But there's something really satisfying about mastering the racing in CTR, being able to expertly pull off drifting and speed boosts and being able to get ahead of the pack. It's a very adrenaline-fueled experience, and I really like what they did here. It feels really snappy, really responsive. And then on top of that, they just added a bunch of extra shit. Like, they've been adding characters, tracks, costumes, cosmetic stuff. You can fully customize your carts. And they've been doing all the seasonal stuff, where they have seasonal events that just add more and more stuff to the game. And I like this. I like the level of support this game is getting. Like, this level of support keeps a game's shelf life much longer than it would be if it was just the standard Crash Team Racing remake with nothing added. Maybe a DLC here or there, but the fact that they're going the seasonal route and they're adding all of this extra stuff every few months, and then you can go into the pit shop and with in-game currency you can buy all this stuff, that's really cool. Like, Spyro is in this game. They put fucking Spyro in Crash Team Racing. That's awesome. I've really, my experience with the game so far has boiled down to just local multiplayer racing so far. I haven't gone online. I haven't done any of the challenge stuff. I haven't done adventure mode. But from what I played, it's very fun, very faithful to the original. I love all the updates that they did to it, and I really like the support that it's getting. Of course, the microtransactions bring it down, but whatever. So I'm really enjoying that. I've also been playing, which I also played on stream if you caught that, the newest DLC release for Kingdom Hearts 3, Remind. And this is an interesting one, because on the one hand, it's more Kingdom Hearts 3, which, if you caught our Game of the Year podcast, it was my number 2, it was my runner-up for Game of the Year. I really love Kingdom Hearts 3. So it's more of that, which I'm happy about. At the same time, I'm not exactly sure about the direction they took with this, because it's essentially a director's cut of the final act of the game. And because of that, you go through a lot of the same events. Like, it basically takes you through the entire third act again, but adds more context and layers to it to tie it more closely to the ending. Because, spoilers for Kingdom Hearts 3, Sora goes off to save Kairi because her heart's been lost. He doesn't come back. And the entire DLC revolves around his journey to find Kairi. And that brings you back to the start of the third act, the fight in the Keyblade Graveyard against Xehanort and the 13 Darknesses, or whatever the fuck they're called. the League of Villains. But yeah, because of that, there's a lot of recycled content. because you go through a lot of the same events, you also go through a lot of the same battles. And granted, there are some different things here and there. The biggest differences I can tell so far is they took the super boss from the main game and made it the introductory boss here, which is a really interesting choice. And also at certain fights, they let you switch between Sora and a different character. So you can play as different characters like Riku, Aqua. I think later on you get to play as Roxas. That's really interesting. And it really does, in that context, it makes it feel different from the main game because you're experiencing it from another character's perspective. At the same time, though, a lot of these fights are exactly the same. Like, I'm just doing this all over again, but I paid an extra $40 for this. So I'm not exactly sure how to feel about that. Of course, I'm only a couple hours in, and I don't know how long it is, so I haven't gotten to, like, the really different shit later on. But as it stands now, it's a good expansion. It gives a lot of good extra context to the ending of the game. But it's brought down by the fact that a lot of it is recycled to the point where it's basically the same stuff over again. Of course, again, I don't know how it changes later on, but where I am right now, that's the feeling I'm getting. So overall, I like it because it's more Kingdom Hearts 3, and I like the additional lore that they're adding to it. But I feel like they should have done a better job at reincorporating these recycled elements to make them feel fresh, you know? So there's that. I've also been playing. It would have been great if, the people that I enlisted to be here would have shown up, because we all could have talked about this. We recently visited Josh, who lives about an hour away from us, and he got us to experience VR for the first time because he owns an Oculus Rift S headset. He plays VR, and he wanted us to try it out. So we all tried out VR. Specifically, we played Job Simulator and Pavlov. And holy shit, this is more fun than it has any right to be. Like, I was one of those guys who was really skeptical about VR. Like, sure, it's a cool concept, but in execution, I don't really care. Like, I'd rather just play games with a normal controller. I don't care about... If a game, through me just connecting to it via a normal controller and playing it with normal buttons, can get me immersed in the world and the gameplay, then what's the point of VR? The entire point of VR is to fully immerse yourself, but if I can still get that experience through playing a game normally, then why bother? I was not ready for this. I played both of these games, Job Simulator and Pavlov, and wow, it's really fun. Like, I didn't think that putting yourself in the shoes of the character that much would make such a difference, but it really does. And I had a ton of fun. Take it from me, the one guy in our group who was the biggest skeptic, I came out of this wanting to play more. That's how much fun it was. Job Simulator, I got to play as a cook. I was cooking things up for these bunch of robot dudes, and I was goofing around. I fucking took out the soup pot, and I put the order paper in there, and I threw in some olive oil and some red wine vinegar. I put an entire can of soup in the pot. I burned a cookie on the stove and then threw it in a blender and juiced it and put it on a piece of toast. It's just so much fun. It's just pure unadulterated fun. That's the best thing I can say about it. It's just fun to experience. And being in that level of immersion really does change the experience quite a bit, because you're fully moving around this environment. You're interacting with things like you would in real life with your regular hands. I don't know. It's just, I want to play more, and I'm really excited to go back and visit Josh just so we can play more VR. We also played Pavlov, which is a shooter game. It's like a zombie mode horde type thing. But there's also a shooting gallery where you can just take all the guns and shoot them on a firing range, and that's what we played. And that was also a lot of fun. And I'm going to flex a little bit here. I was the only one. We made ourselves a challenge where we would take I believe it was a Desert Eagle. Oh, no, wait, it was a revolver. We would take a revolver, and we would try to shoot the dummy from 100 meters away and see how well each one of us did. I was the only one who almost hit a bullseye. Like, I was an inch off from the bullseye. So I was really proud of myself as someone in our friend group, me, Matt, Josh, and Spencer, who Josh and Spencer actively are big gun nerds, and they love guns and they handle guns and all of that. For me, with no experience with firearms whatsoever, to go in there and almost hit the bullseye on the first try, it was like, man, I patted myself on the back for that one. That felt good. But yeah, VR is interesting, and just based on my experience with those two games, I want to play more games and see how they incorporate those virtual reality elements. It was really fun, man. I don't know. And last but certainly not least, probably the thing I've been playing most lately, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Season 3 just started a week or two ago, and the first DLC character for Season 3, Kefla, came out. So I've been playing more fighters lately. I've been seeing all of the changes that came with the third season patch, as well as trying out Kefla. I really like Kefla. Kefla, to me, feels like a more accessible Bardock. And the reason I couldn't get into Bardock is because he has so many tools at his disposal that honestly it's a bit overwhelming to play as Bardock if you have no experience with him. Kefla feels very similar to Bardock, but there's a lot of things that are different about her that make her a lot more accessible. Her combos are easier to pull off. She has a lot of multi-hitting normals, which is great in neutral, because people aren't expecting the multi-hit normals, and then they'll be caught off guard, and then they'll be opened up. She has a lot of great mix-up opportunities, especially with her command dash, where she can side switch on the fly, and it's extremely fast. She's just a lot of fun to play, and I've been putting her on my main team. My main team in Season 3 so far has been Kefla, Gogeta, and Goku GT, but I've been switching out Goku GT for a couple characters. I switched him out with Goku Black at one point, I switched him out with Trunks at one point. I've just been trying a bunch of different combinations. Overall, the game feels a lot different. There are an equal amount of things that were both added and taken away. There were a lot of things that were taken away, such as the snap meta. The snap meta is pretty much dead. Fuzzies were taken out, a lot of other stuff. But on top of that, there's a lot of stuff that has been added that's really interesting. Each character has 3 assists, so it's much more in the veins of like a Marvel vs. Capcom type thing, where you can pick a character's assist going into a match. That really opens up a lot of opportunities for new teams that people probably weren't considering because of the assists that they had. Now you have a lot more options, which means you can play a lot more characters and not have to worry about having good assists. You can just mix and match and see what your preference is. You can fucking key charge deflects key blast now, which is great. Trying to think. EX moves only cost half a bar now, which means EX moves are used a lot more in neutral. So it's a lot more chaotic now than it used to be, which is good. It makes it feel a lot more fast-paced. You can get more off with Vanish. I know you can super dash off of a Vanish now, which is really interesting. There's just a lot of little things, a lot of little adjustments that they've made that really makes it feel like a different game. Like, it still feels very similar to how it used to, but all of these different little changes start to pile up. And because of that, the game feels fresh. It feels like... I know a lot of people in the community have talked about how over the course of Season 2, fighters kind of got into a stagnation, because not a lot of things changed. They weren't updating the game with patches, so things just kind of boiled down to a formula that didn't really change too much. Now the formula's changed, and because of that, there's so many new opportunities that it makes it feel new again, which is the best thing I can say about it. I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait for Ultra Instinct Goku, which is probably going to come out on Goku Day, let's be real, and whatever DLC characters come out in Season 3, which we still got 3 more. Who knows who those are going to be, but that'll be interesting to see. So yeah, yeah, all of a sudden everyone's awake now. Well, you missed your opportunity, so too bad. Sorry. But let's move on, now that I'm done that. Let's move on to our discussion question of the week, which I've held on to this question for a while. And I haven't really gotten a chance to ask it yet. Of course, I'm the only one here now, so. Discussion question of the week is, what's a game that you can't live without? And that's an interesting question, because it could have a lot of meanings. Honestly, in certain contexts, it could be... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for. But in certain contexts, it could come off as what's your favorite game, because you couldn't live without your favorite game, right? But what's a game that you can't live without? One game that if it disappeared from the world, video games just wouldn't be the same for you. And my answer, I thought about, is Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic 3 and Knuckles was my favorite game for a long time. It just over the last couple years changed. But Sonic 3 and Knuckles is a game that is really special to me, because it did a lot of great things, not only for the Sonic series, but also 2D platformers in general. And it really works. Seeing as how, due to development difficulties, they split it into two games, but then they allowed you to combine them. It really makes it a different experience than when you play Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles on their own. It has a lot of great zones. It has a lot of great power-ups, changes from the older games, like the Insta-Shield. It looks a lot better. They really updated the graphical elements. The music is great, even though there's the whole Michael Jackson thing, which whatever. Hypersonic, the Super Emeralds. Like, there's a lot of great things about this game that really stand out. And it was my favorite game for a long time. Of course, it's since changed. But honestly, I don't think I could live without Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because I think Sonic 3 and Knuckles is one of the pinnacle examples of 2D platformers done right. And I love it a lot. It was my favorite game for a long time. I used to play it all the time. I haven't played it a lot lately. But it's just an amazing game. And I think what it did for platformers really stands out in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I don't think I could live without Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's a fantastic game. And with that said, let me readjust my mic real quick, because now that general discussion has ended, it's time for us to go right into the news. So news is kind of dead. I came into this with 6 stories. We have 8 now because I found some other things. But news is pretty dead. It's a pretty slow week. Not a whole lot's been announced, or not a whole lot has been reported on. So let's get right into it. Pretty simple news section this week. We got a couple release date announcements and then some other stuff later on. Let's start with this. My number 9 game on my top 10 list of 2019, After Party, which I really loved, it's a great adventure game, is coming to Switch, actually, today. So let's read. Night School Studio has announced that its drinking game After Party will arrive on Nintendo Switch on March 6th. The game follows the story of recently deceased friends Milo and Lola. After finding a loophole that can get them back to Earth, the pair set off on a mission to outdrink Satan. Players will have to guide Milo and Lola through Hell's many bars as they take part in minigames, meet the locals, and uncover the mystery behind why they are in Hell. After Party is now available on Xbox One, PS4, and PC. So, if you're not aware, today is March 6th. So, this game has just been released on Nintendo Switch. Like I said, it was my number 9 for my top 10 games of 2019. I really loved it. It's a really great adventure game. On surface level, it sounds really dumb. But what stood out the most about this game is its deeper themes. It had a lot of themes of existentialism. It critiqued drinking culture quite a bit. And also society's expectations on young people to be successes right out of the gate. This game has a lot of great things to say in a very solid adventure game format with incredibly smart, detailed, and witty writing. Yeah, I just love it. And the fact that it's coming to Switch means more people can play it. Of course, it was already out on all the other consoles, including PC. But now Switch owners can play this game and see what it's all about. It's from the creators of Oxenfree. So if you're a fan of that game and you have a Switch and you want to play it, now's the time. It just came out. I assume it's not super expensive on the eShop. So if you're interested in this game and it sounds like something you'd be into, go ahead and pick it up on Switch. It's available today. So let's move on. Speaking of Switch, we reported not too long ago that The Wonderful 101 had a Kickstarter supported by Platinum Games to get a remastered version out on modern consoles. Since then, the Kickstarter has raised over $2 million, and with that, Platinum Games has officially announced a release date for The Wonderful 101 Remastered. So let's read. Platinum Games has announced that The Wonderful 101 Remaster will be released for PS4, Switch, and PC on May 19th in North America and May 22nd in Europe. The Wonderful 101 has gotten this miraculous second chance thanks to all of you who've told us you wanted to play it, as well as the passionate Platinum Games staff who worked on it with me. We're delighted to see it return on Switch, PS4, and Steam, director Hideki Kamiya said. Well, that's a typo. Hideki Kaya said. This isn't just a simple port either. We've tuned the controls for each new platform and made several adjustments that should make it easier to grasp and play. On top of that, we've improved the image quality and frame rate to suit modern hardware. On the whole, I'd say Wonderful 101 Remastered is the definitive edition of the game. I would hope it is. A Kickstarter for the remaster was set up earlier this month and has raised more than $1.75 million. Of course, at this point, that's over $2 million now. So they have reached this stretch goal of Luca's second mission. They have not reached this stretch goal of orchestral re-recordings yet. And I don't think it will, because I actually think the Kickstarter ended today, which I can actually search that up real quick. Because I think it ended today. Not entirely sure on that. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, okay. This project will only be funded if it reaches its goal by Friday, March 6th at 3 p.m. Eastern. It is currently 11:30 a.m., so this Kickstarter, whose original goal was 68,000 Canadian dollars, has now raised over almost 3 million Canadian dollars. That's insane. A lot of people really love this game. Oh, that's just an 18-second trailer. Who cares then? But yeah, a lot of people love this game. It received quite a cult following after it was released on the Wii U. And I think I said last time on the podcast that this is the one game that I love, that I know is amazing, but I've just never gotten around to play. It's the best game that I've never played. I tried playing the demo on the Wii U, but I couldn't get a hand of the controls. So maybe this remastered version will help me actually get into it. Who knows? But the Kickstarter has been successfully funded and then some. It's coming out in May 19th in North America, which is like a week before my birthday. So hey, birthday gift to myself, maybe. But yeah, it's really great to see this quaint little cult title from Platinum get the love and attention that it truly deserves. Speaking of surprise release dates, we learned not too long ago that when Halo Reach launched on PC as part of the Master Chief Collection, that the preceding Halo games would be released at a certain time in the future, one by one as part of the bundle. Halo 1 just stealth dropped on the PC, so let's read. Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary has been added to Halo the Master Chief Collection on PC, Microsoft has announced. This remastered version of the original game runs at up to 4K resolution at 60 frames or higher, and includes a number of PC-exclusive features such as mouse and keyboard support, customizable key bindings, and adjustable FOV, ultra-wide support, and text chat. As with the original version of Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary, players will be able to freely switch between the original graphics and the remastered version. Developer 343 Industries have also released a new update for the Halo the Master Chief Collection and Halo Reach on PC that updates crouch movement when using mouse and keyboard, adds push-to-talk voice chat, separates key bindings on a per-game basis, and more. Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary is now available on PC either as part of Halo the Master Chief Collection for $40 or as a standalone purchase for $9.99. It is also included in Game Pass for PC. Let's see, this is a 47-second trailer, but whatever, I'm going to play it. So yeah, this is cool. Josh would be losing his shit if he was here, but unfortunately he slept in, so tough shit. But yeah, we knew that this was coming. It's very interesting that they stealth dropped it. Just like, hey, it's done. Here you go. And seeing as how Halo Reach came out in December, and it's now March, that gives us a 3-month window on when we can expect the later games, like 2, 3, and 4. Will it be every 3 months? Will it be sooner than that? Longer than that? I don't know. But if this port is even half as good as the Reach port was on PC, then holy shit, we're gonna be in for a fucking ride, dude. Like, I'm not particularly a PC guy. If any of you follow the channel, you know that. But I played Halo Reach on PC to play with Josh, and holy shit, that port is great. Even on my computer, which granted is customized for gaming but isn't the best, run beautifully. So if this port is even half as good as that, we're in for a wild ride, dude. Speaking of release dates, Ghost of Tsushima, one of Sony's big last first-party exclusives for the PS4, finally has a release date, which was, again, stealth dropped on us. So let's read. Sony and Sucker Punch Productions have revealed that Ghost of Tsushima will finally be coming to PS4 on June 26th. In addition to confirming the release date, Sony has shared a new story trailer for the game that focuses on the characters that protagonist Jin Sakai will meet on his journey. A few important characters highlighted by the developer Sucker Punch include Jin's uncle Shimaru, who has trained him since childhood, and the Mongol army leader Khotun Khan. A number of special editions have also been detailed, blah, 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 blah. Here's the digital deluxe edition. You get a horse. Here's the special edition. You get everything but the horse, also a steelbook. And here's the collector's edition, which you get a mask, you get a cloth map, you get an art book. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I don't doubt that this game's going to be quality. Sucker Punch has proven time and time again that they can deliver high-quality experiences, even back in the PS2 days with the Sly games. But Ghost of Tsushima is one that I haven't really been super interested in. And I think the reason for that is that Sony just hasn't shown much of this game. Especially with the fact that they've skipped E3, and they're skipping E3 again. I just haven't seen too much of this game to really catch my attention. Again, I'm sure it's going to be quality, and I will probably play it at some point. But yeah, June 26th it's coming out, right after E3, which is a bold move from Sony, seeing as how they're skipping the conference entirely. But yeah, if you've been looking forward to this game, it's going to be one of the last big PS4 exclusives, so June 26th. And then we get on to some other stories, which are kind of miscellaneous, including this one that just came out of nowhere. Harmonix, the developers behind the hit, or the previously hit rhythm series Rock Band, and also Dance Central, has announced a new music mixing game called Fuser. So let's read. Harmonix and NCSoft has unveiled Fuser, a new music mixing game that will let players fuse together elements from more than 100 songs. Players will be able to live out the fantasy of headlining a music festival as they blend vocals, bass lines, and more across multiple genres to create their own unique sound. While playing, points will be awarded for timing, completing level objectives, and pleasing the crowd. The upcoming game features a single-player campaign, multiplayer modes, live challenges, and a freestyle mode. As players progress, they will be able to unlock new songs, new sounds, a wide variety of cosmetic options, and also advanced gameplay options that open up a stunning creative palette, product manager Daniel Sussman revealed in an Xbox Wire post. With Fuser, we are delivering the ultimate music fantasy as a game, Steve Janiak. I apologize if I mispronounced that. CEO of Harmonix said, "Music today is an experience. It's not just people listening to albums anymore. It's recording and sharing videos of you singing along to your favorite songs, watching your favorite bands play at festivals, and sharing hit music with your friends. Fuser puts players at the center of all that by letting you mix and share some of the biggest hits on your way to becoming a festival headliner." Publisher NCSoft has also shared a partial list of songs that will be available in the game, including tracks from 50 Cent, Billie Eilish, Fatboy Slim, and Lady Gaga. So there's the track list so far, some of the tracks that will be in the game. Fuser is scheduled to release later this year for Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and PC. So this is an interesting thing. This is really interesting because the old style of rhythm game is now dead. things like Guitar Hero and Rock Band are obsolete and they died long ago for a lot of reasons, most of which boiled down to oversaturation. Since then, rhythm games have really been taking risks. They've been a lot more creative and a lot more intuitive than the older rhythm games have. Games like Thumper, games like Sayonara Wild Hearts, and a bunch of others, games like that have really been doing creative things with the rhythm genre. They've been really unconventional, they've been really esoteric, and honestly, those games have been really high quality. There's a reason why Guitar Hero and Rock Band died, and there's a reason why, when they came back, they didn't do much better. Those kinds of rhythm games are dead. They're gone. They're obsolete. Don't bother doing those anymore. This sounds like something new. This sounds like a completely different kind of rhythm game experience. It's not just about playing the songs to the rhythm, it's about making music. It's about being a DJ, it's about being a sound designer, a sound mixer. You take elements from all of these different audio formats and mix them together into your own unique creation. And I think that's what's going to make this game potentially stand out in the rhythm genre, especially with Harmonix developing it. Harmonix has proven time and time again that even if the rhythm genre in that format is obsolete, the Rock Band games were always quality. So was, I don't think they did DJ Hero. I think that was the other guys. But yeah, they've always proven that they can deliver high quality games, and I don't think this will be any exception. So yeah, I hope that it comes out and it'll be a platform for people to really create cool musical experiences and share them with others, and I hope it does well. But we'll see. Moving on. We got some interesting next-gen news. This correlates to what Microsoft announced for the Xbox Series X, which I think we'll get into later in this article. But CD Projekt Red, the developers of The Witcher series and Cyberpunk 2077, announced that if you buy the game on Xbox One, you'll get the Series X upgrade for free. So let's read. Anyone who purchases Cyberpunk 2077 on Xbox One will be able to upgrade to the Xbox Series X version for free when it is released, developer CD Projekt Red has announced. Gamers, I'm just going to read the tweet right here from the official Cyberpunk page. Gamers should never be forced to purchase the same game twice or pay for upgrades. Owners of Cyberpunk 2077 for Xbox One will receive the Series X upgrade for free when available. This will be possible thanks to the recently unveiled cross-buy smart delivery feature for Series X. This feature will be available for all Xbox Game Studios titles and makes it so players only have to purchase a game once to get the best version of the game on both Xbox One and Series X. As revealed earlier today, when was this article published? February 24th, so it's a little old. As revealed earlier today, the feature is also available to third-party developers and publishers who are releasing games on Xbox One first before bringing them to Series X. This technology empowers you to buy a game once and know that whether you are playing it on Xbox One or Series X, you are getting the right version of that game on whatever Xbox you're playing on. We're making the commitment to use smart delivery for all our exclusive Xbox Game Studios titles, including Halo Infinite, ensuring you only have to purchase a title once in order to play the best version available for whichever Xbox console they choose to play on. Cyberpunk 2077 was recently delayed and now launches on September 17th for Xbox One, PS4, and PC. So this is very interesting. It just boils down to cross-buy. Like, Microsoft isn't the first one to do cross-buy. I know Sony has been doing it for years with games that have been on PS4 and PS3 and PS Vita. But yeah, it's very nice to see third-party developers take advantage of those cross-buy mechanics, I guess. I don't think that's the right word, but I'm going to go with it. It's nice to see developers take advantage of that. Like, hey, we're going to be releasing this on both the current gen and the next gen. But if you buy it on the current gen and you want to switch over to the next gen, you're thinking of upgrading to a Series X or something, don't worry. When we release that version of the game, you'll still have it because you bought the game on last generation hardware, and I like that. I'm a big supporter of cross-buy. If something is available on multiple iterations of one company's platform, I think that if you buy it once, you should be able to own all versions. You shouldn't have to pay extra or buy the game again. So I like what they're doing. I like what Xbox is doing with the Series X with the smart delivery feature. And I like that developers like CD Projekt Red are going to take advantage of it in the next generation. It's very nice to see. Let's move on to some TV news. This kind of dropped last minute yesterday morning. Apparently, there is going to be a Last of Us television series in development at HBO, which is very interesting. So let's read. A series adaptation of the PlayStation game The Last of Us is in development at HBO. Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin is attached to write and executive produce the potential series along with Neil Druckmann, the writer and creative director of the game. Carolyn Strauss will be also executive produce along with Evan Wells, president of game development studio Naughty Dog. The project is a co-production with Sony Pictures Television and in association with PlayStation Productions. The project is the first television series from PlayStation Productions. Neil Druckmann is without question the finest storyteller working in the video game medium, and The Last of Us is his magnum opus, said Mazin. Getting a chance to adapt this breathtaking work of art has been a dream of mine for years, and I'm so honored to do it in partnership with Neil. The Last of Us, developed by Naughty Dog, takes place 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed. Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes a brutal, heartbreaking journey as they both must traverse across the US and depend on each other for survival. The HBO series will cover the events of the original game, which was written by Druckmann, with the possibility of additional content based on the upcoming sequel, Part 2, which is due out in May. So this is very interesting. I think this is the best of both worlds, because if you were going to adapt The Last of Us for television, I think HBO is the perfect studio to do so, because HBO, regardless of what happened with Game of Thrones, has been very famous for properly adapting stuff like this. I think with the right budget behind it and the right creative team, I think this thing is going to fucking do gangbusters. It's probably going to be great. And I like the fact that it seems to be a collaboration between HBO and Sony. There is a lot of Sony and Naughty Dog staff that are involved in this project, which is great. Because, of course, who would know the property better than the people who created it? Having Neil Druckmann involved is an incredibly smart choice. Having it being a co-production with Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions, having the creator of Chernobyl write it, like, this is the best of both worlds. All of the stars seem to be aligning for this. So if they can pull it off, and this turns out to be an incredible adaptation of Last of Us 4 television, like, I'm calling it right now. Like, I have faith in this project. Just the fact that it's HBO, just the fact that so many of the original creators are involved, I think this is destined for success if they can pull it off. Who knows? Something might happen in production that will hold it back. It could be a horrific mess, but I have faith. And finally, our last story of the day. An unfortunate note to end on, but one that I think is important to bring up. GDC, the Game Developers Conference for 2020, has been postponed. So let's read. The Game Developers Conference organizers have announced the decision to postpone the event. After close consultation with our partners in the game development industry and community around the world, we've made the difficult decision to postpone the Game Developers Conference this March. Having spent the past year preparing for the show with our advisory boards, speakers, exhibitors, and even event partners, we're genuinely upset and disappointed not to be able to host you at this time. The organizers added that the plan is to host GDC this summer instead. Information about the new event will be shared in the coming weeks. An FAQ about the postponement explained that all currently registered pass holders will receive a full refund, and there will be no penalties or fees for people who have made hotel reservations inside the GDC room block. As for the Independent Game Festival and Game Developers Choice Awards, these will now be streamed via Twitch between March 16th and the 20th. The Game Developers Conference was due to take place in San Francisco from March 16th through March 20th. Now, one thing that this article doesn't state is the reason why GDC was postponed, and that's because of concerns about the coronavirus. There have been tons of stories that have been coming out over the past couple of weeks where several key developers, publishers, and companies have been pulling out of GDC due to concerns of the coronavirus. I believe some of them include, if I'm not mistaken, Microsoft pulled out, Sony pulled out, Epic Games pulled out, I think Facebook pulled out too, which doesn't relate to games, but it's a big company. But yeah, a lot of people have been pulling out of GDC because everyone's concerned about the coronavirus. It's a huge global phenomenon. Everyone's being affected right now. It's not just like it's not just a small contained event. It's broken worldwide, and everyone's scared to death about the coronavirus. So I don't blame the event holders of GDC for pushing this thing back. More and more companies were pulling out anyway. If it had kept going the way it was, there would have been no one attending GDC to begin with. So I think the smart move was to delay this back a few months. Let us find out more about the coronavirus, see how that progresses, and then hold it sometime in the summer once potentially everything's blown over and it's not an issue anymore. So I think they did the smart move. I don't think anyone's complaining that GDC got pushed back. If it's about concerns of a global virus phenomenon, then of course push it back as far as you need. We don't want more people getting sick. We already have enough of that. So yeah, I fully agree with this decision, and hopefully by the time they actually get around to holding the event sometime in the summer, the issues with the coronavirus have subsided. And hopefully they can put this event on without a hitch. And everyone who pulled out can come back, and it can be a full GDC experience. But with that said, that is our last news story for the day. Oh, fuck! Oh, God. Excuse me. That was our last news story for the day, and with that, we can wrap things up here. So look at that. 46... It's going to be 47 minutes by the time I wrap this up. Short, sweet, to the point podcast this week. Of course, it would have been a lot longer if my cohorts had woken up on time, which apparently they were all up and ready sometime after I started recording. A bit too late now, but we'll see if we can't get them on next time. But with that said, we can wrap things up here. So thank you very much for watching this episode of the Bearded Banter Podcast. If you like what you've seen and you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe to us right here on YouTube, Bearded Gaming Network, where we post a lot of great gaming shit, including podcasts like this one, Let's Plays, unboxings, live stream VODs, funny edited content, and more. And make sure to click the motherfucking bell if you want to get notifications on when we upload, so you're the first to see the new videos as they go live. Also, go follow us over on Twitter at BeardedGamingN, where you can get all the latest updates on BGN and see when exactly we post videos and when we go live over on Twitch. Also, follow us over there if you want to see my dumb opinions on movies, games, anime, and more, as well as a bunch of dumb memes. You like dumb memes, and I say this every time, follow me on Twitter at BeardedGamingN. Last but certainly not least, go ahead and follow us over on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeardedGamingNetwork, because I stream on Twitch every Tuesday and Thursday from 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a lot of great fun over there on Twitch. The streams have been really good lately. So if you want to see me live stream some games or maybe some other stuff, go ahead and follow us over there on Twitch so you can get notifications on when we go live so you can hop in and join us as we're streaming. And with that said, we can wrap things up. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in 2 weeks with another episode of Bearded Banter. I'm Shane the Beer One signing off, and I hope you all have a fantastic game. Fantastic game? I meant fantastic day. Don't get the coronavirus. And keep on gaming, everyone.